just want to make one comment to make sure you understand that on the website for the graduate programs, if you go into the capstone options and you click down and you keep clicking into it, you eventually will come to some guidelines for the Masters in Communication capstones. Now, what I need to mention at the very beginning of this presentation is that has been updated and changed a bit, and I'll talk about what it is now. So just be aware that the final edits have not been posted yet on the website. So what we're going to talk about today is actually more accurate. Okay, everybody understand? Did anybody want to ask any questions about that? No? Okay. All right. So as you probably know, we have 4 options. For completing any capstone, you can choose the comprehensive exam, you can choose a special project, or you can choose to do an internship. And then the last option, which is a very rare option that very few students choose, is to write a master's thesis. But before you can take any of these capstones, you need to have completed successfully the communication research course. That is the prerequisite for this, for taking this capstone. And you also have to be very far along in your courses. For instance, you can't take a capstone the first or second semester. You have to have completed a required number of credits in order to, be enrolled in one of them. So, and just check with Liz as you go through with your credits to make sure you have enough credits, and also check to make sure you take the communication research. But at this point, we're just going to talk about what the 4 options are and how you can prepare for them. Okay, the first option is the most common option, and almost everyone in the program selects this option. It's what we call the comprehensive exam. And what the purpose of this exam is for you to connect theory and practice, and for you to demonstrate that you can actually solve some cases, solve some problems, make some presentations in response to questions about actual real life cases that show you have mastered the material in all of your courses. Now, the guidelines on the website say that it's a full day exam. It's not a full day exam. It's basically timed for 3 hours. We used to have it a full day before we did this online, and we could time them. So students used to come to campus and take the course exam in person. But now that you can do it online, we have reduced the time frame to 3 hours. And how does that work? Well, that means that you go into the exam and you see that there are cases in the exam with a series of questions about each case. And the cases are focused primarily on whatever concentration you have. So if you are in the PR concentration, the case is a PR case with questions related to PR. If you're an IMC, there's an IMC case with questions related to IMC, et cetera, et cetera. So what you can do is open book, open notes, and you just keep your books, you just keep your notes nearby. And when you open the exam, you read the case, and then you answer the questions. And what you do is you demonstrate in answering the questions that you have mastered the material, that you could actually be, a director of public relations in a company or a nonprofit, or you could actually go into a mid-level job in integrated marketing and so forth. Now, what I need to also explain is that during the semester that you take this, whether it's 7.5 weeks or 14 weeks, you will have 2 mock exams. So you have practice before you take the final one. And I do the comprehensive exam. I'm the instructor there, so I give you feedback on the 2 practice exams and say, this is what you did really well, and this is where you might need to review some of the materials, to enhance your answer. And just as a point of information for all of you, since we started the master's degree in communication at LaSalle, no one has failed the comprehensive exam. Everybody has passed. And it's because, people are able to demonstrate that they really did learn during their courses, and they can prove it by examining these cases. And those of you who have had me a faculty member as a teacher, I use a lot of Harvard Business School cases in my courses. So you're accustomed to looking at cases as a way to think about connecting theory and practice. So basically, that approach is the most popular. It's also the one that you can do very, conveniently if you're working full time. So does anybody? No questions? No? Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's analyzing case studies. Now, the second type that you can do is what we call a special project. And we've had very, very few students do the special project. The exceptions are students who are working full-time and who cannot do an internship, decided they don't want to analyze a case, and they have a project maybe at their workplace, or maybe it's a project that they could do at a nonprofit that is like designing a whole public relations campaign, or designing a whole integrated marketing campaign, or a whole health communication campaign with all the materials that go with it. And it can't be any campaign you've already done in a course you've had to date. It has to be a new campaign. And for this, you do need to find a faculty member who's willing to supervise you as you do this, whatever it might be, special project in your area of interest. And the faculty member will walk you through each step. It should the volunteer organization or nonprofit organization or another organization can actually implement and can actually execute. It takes a lot of time and a lot of investment and a lot of energy. So, but some of you or one of you may find that this is appropriate for what you would like to do. And I remember a long time ago, one of the students I had was working at TJ Maxx, and she was working in the PR department, and she wanted to do something for marketing. And so what she did is she approached the director of marketing at TJX and asked if she could do a special project. And it actually took her 2 sessions, not just 1 semester, but 2 semesters. She started it in January and she actually finished it in the summer. So she had to have an incomplete in the spring and carry that over into the summer. That is the one project that I remember very clearly, but it can't be a project that is something you have to do anyway for your work. It has to be in addition to something beyond your current professional responsibilities. So are there any questions about that? Is that pretty clear?
I had a question about that. Is there a time frame that you have to complete that by, or is it as long as you need?
It can't be as long as you need because you have to enroll in the course, and the course will take a semester. So what happens, like as I just explained with this previous student I have, she couldn't finish it in 1 semester, so she had to get an incomplete grade and finish it in the summer, and then the grade was assigned. But you don't take 2 semesters to finish it, you take 1. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I was thinking of the scenario where maybe you take like if I take the capstone as my last class, could I start on it before I take the class?
You could, but you have to make sure you've got a professor that you're working with, because the capstone is assigned to the professor's schedule for the semester you would be doing it. And you have to make sure that that professor is able to do that work with you within, the number of courses that they're required to teach. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Does anybody else have another question?
I have a question, Janice.
Sure.
For somebody looking into this option, since they have to be paired with an individual faculty member, how much time in advance do you think a student should start, reaching out, trying to find a mentor?
I think it should be at least in the first semester they want to think about doing it. I think it should be a while ahead, because that we build the schedules. The schedule for the spring was done in early October. And
Right.
so when we do the schedules, and so if someone is doing a special project, it has to be added to the schedule and it has to be assigned to a professor. So it's quite a ways ahead of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so, that course is going to be part of that faculty member's course load.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, so if this is an option any of you want to take, definitely plan ahead. And if as you're going through the program, you encounter a professor that you really like, probably just keep that in mind.
Okay. Are there any other questions about the professional project? Because I'm going to move on to the third one, which is the professional internship. This is the second most popular capstone after the comprehensive exam. And the person who usually teaches it is actually a graduate, undergraduate, and master's graduate of our communication program. She currently works for State Street Bank full-time, and she loves teaching graduate students. And she loves supervising the internship, and she does a great job with it. Now, the internship, as you can imagine, means that you have to complete 150 hours during the semester you take the internship, and you need to have the internship ready to go when you start your semester. In other words, don't sign up for the course and then decide once the course starts you're going to go looking for an internship. Make sure you have everything lined up before you're actually enrolled in the course. And again, the internship can be at your place of work, but it has to be different than what you would ordinarily do for your job. So, for instance, if you're in a particular department, say you're in the marketing department, you can't really do a project that's marketing that you would ordinarily have as part of your work responsibilities. What you should do is look to see if your employer has, for example, a foundation. For example, Bank of America has a foundation. And if you worked in marketing at Bank of America, you would go to them and say, who do I get in touch with at the foundation so I can do an internship at the foundation? So you have to keep your current work responsibilities and your internship on separate tracks. So you will go to somewhere else in your organization to do that. For example, I had some police officers who wanted to do an internship, and what they did was work for the main police headquarters in their city, And what they did is help to create an internship working on community policing guidelines and what would be the communication aspect of reaching out to the community, to have the police officers partner more with the community, and how could they reach people who live in that community? What were the most effective ways, in terms of PR? So they were very good internships and they were really interesting, but they weren't part of their daily duties as police officers. Okay, so is that pretty clear? Does anybody have any questions about that?
Yes.
I have oh, sorry.
Who has a question?
I have a question.
Okay, hi, how are you? Who's this?
Mike.
Hi, Mike.
So I had signed up already. Next semester is my last semester. So I had signed up for the internship because I had an internship lined up already. But that internship is really was project dependent. The project, whether the project was going to be funded or not. And it was supposed to be funded back in August. And it's still in limbo right now. And I'm not even 100% sure that the project's going to be funded and that this thing's going to take off for me to be a participant in. So I'm kind of questioning, like, right now at this moment, I'm obviously looking for other internships so that if that does not, that does fall through, that I have something else lined up by January. But obviously we're getting very close to that kind of deadline. If we get to January and I haven't been able to secure a new internship, is it, can I swap to like the comprehensive before the ad drop for the semester? Yes. Is that going to be?
Because both the internship course and the comprehensive exam are courses in the main section for the spring. So, if you're taking a 7.5-week course, the ad drop is like in 2 days, but you have a little more time. So yes, you can definitely move from the internship to the comprehensive exam within, I would have to look at the calendar to see what the ad drop dates are. I think you can go to, let me just see if I can find it in the new calendar, because we have a new calendar. I think ad drop, course withdrawal, it looks like it's February 1st. So if you don't have an internship, by the end of January, just as long as you drop the internship course and add the comprehensive exam before February 1st, you're okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And the new calendar, by the way, just so everybody knows, is on the LaSalle website, because we are, as you all know, starting a week late. Does that answer your question okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we have to submit the form for the internship along with signing up. So I just hadn't submitted the form because of this situation. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be like cut out of the whole internship if I didn't have the form submitted in that case also.
Right. Okay, good, Michael. Now, is there someone else who had a question about this?
I have a question, Professor.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah. Is this class going to be offered online or on campus?
The internship class is online.
Okay, I see.
What has happened is all of the spring courses in Maine for the communication program have been switched to online because all of the professors, excuse me, need to teach online. And hopefully these, different vaccines we keep hearing about from Pfizer and from Moderna are going to be available. And hopefully this semester is coming up this spring is the last time we're dealing with COVID. And we'll get back to normal, hopefully by the summer.
Yeah.
But for the time being, they all requested, to have their courses online.
Okay. Also, for example, Can we take, for example, internships again online as well? For example, if I found something in a different state, or it should be,
Yes,
that would be fine?
yes,
Okay, okay.
yes. You don't have to actually go into the
Mhm.
internship site to
Okay.
complete an internship successfully. You
Okay.
can do it online.
Okay,
If you can find an organization that's willing to accept, an online internship, sure.
okay, okay. Thank you, Professor.
Okay. Any other questions about the internship?
I had one, Professor.
Hi, how are you? Hi, it's Joe, right?
Yes.
Hi, Joe.
So I still play baseball at the school.
Yeah.
Would you recommend to avoid doing an internship if I'll be in season in the spring? Or could I even start it during the winter, right before the semester starts, and get as many hours in as I can to get me close?
Right. What I think maybe you should do is email Kate Quinn. She's going to be teaching that course, and her email is kquinn@lasalle.edu. And you can engage in a discussion with her because she'll be teaching that course. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Professor. I have a question.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Good. Good to see
It's
you.
Bessie, right?
Yes.
Hi.
So for graduate students, internationals, you mentioned this internship course is going to be online. Do you think this will affect our status? I think I spoke with Elizabeth about this, so I'm not sure.
I am so sorry. I really can't answer that question. I think
Okay.
Elizabeth and the person who you work with in international programs are the appropriate people to discuss that with. I don't know. I'm not the right person. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
I can speak to that for a second, Janice. So we've been telling all international students that just in general, we're going to do what we need to on our end to make it work. So if we have to do a few hybrid course meetings for you, we're going to do that. So don't worry about your visa on your end. We're going to make it work for you. In terms of the actual internship class, that's always, not anything to do with COVID. That's always been a hybrid course that's online. So you never would have had to come to campus for like an internship course, but it still counts as a hybrid course in terms of your visa. So basically the take home is just don't worry, we're going to work everything out for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I hope that helps. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's great that you're on the call to help with these questions. All right, now, if there's no more questions about internship anymore, I don't want to go to the next one if you have questions. Any other questions?
Yes, I do. Sorry for popping up so much. Janice, do you have any idea how people who are working fulfill the hours? Like, do they take vacation time or sick time, or how does that work?
It depends on the situation that the individual student has. And some students have been able to do it while they are working, maybe hours that they can spend over the weekend or on weekends doing, now that we have everything online, it depends, it really depends. And some students have taken vacation time, some students have taken personal time. It just depends on the organization where they are doing the internship and what their requirements are, and whether or not that can match up with the regular work schedule that the student has. So it's an individual kind of decision-making process between the student and the employer, where the student would be doing the internship. Does this make sense? Do you know what I mean? It's not a one size fits all, in other words.
Right. But definitely doable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There were, yes, definitely. And Kate Quinn has, been working with graduate students since she graduated and doing a great job helping them work around those requirements. So the other person that they might want to speak to if they're enrolled in the internship course is Kate. You know, send her an email.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I've got another quick question.
Sure. Okay, Michael.
Since I'm on the hunt, you know, for an alternative option for myself for the internship, does the communications department have readily available, like outside of like the Handshake app, like a list of companies that generally do like co-ops or internships with LaSalle students that are, you know, I know like some of the other schools already have those internships and those companies lined up readily available to fire off to students that need them. Do we have resources like that? Do we have companies that work with LaSalle, generally speaking?
Well, there's a career center at LaSalle that Donnell Turner is responsible for, and he posts jobs, he posts things like that, and everything along those lines will come through his office. His email is D, as in Donnell, Turner, TURNER, at lasalle.edu. Just explain you're a graduate student and pursuing possibilities for in your area, and is there any resource that he has available for those? And then also, when you email Kate Quinn, you can ask her too. Okay?
Great, thank you.
Great. Are those your boys in the background?
Yes, a few years ago.
Oh my God, they're so cute. What are their names?
Ashton and Mason.
Oh my God, they're adorable. How old are they now?
7 and 12.
The kids grow up so fast.
They do.
Enjoy them.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want people to feel cut off here because I'm just looking at the time. We're supposed to have this for a half hour. I'm happy to stay on longer if you need more questions, but I do want to make sure that I talk about the thesis as the last option. Okay. The master's thesis is really reserved for students who intend to go on to a PhD program in communication and teach at the university or college level sometime in the future. It's a very, very rigorous sort of, program that you would go through to be able to do that. So if this is your career goal, and you do want to try taking the thesis course, not only do you have to finish the communication research course successfully, but there's another course that you have to take ahead of that course, which will replace one of your electives. And the number of that course is COM 795. And again, you would have to find a professor who would be interested in your topic and willing to work with you for a whole semester on developing the research design for this. So that's one whole semester and one elective you have to be enrolled in. And then you have to take the 797 communication research, communication thesis course. So you can't do the thesis without having completed the course prior to the thesis, which is the thesis preparation course. And again, that is directed by one professor, almost like an independent study. And so what you would have to do is you would have to match your research interests in a topic with a professor who has that expertise. And again, that has to be done ahead of time because it has to be added to the schedule like the special project. And that schedule, has the names of the faculty members attached to the courses. So you would have to make sure that whoever and the thesis course would have the availability to be able to add that in the semester that you wanted to complete a thesis and a pre-thesis course. So to do the thesis, we actually say that, you know, we actually discourage people from doing it. And the reason we discourage them is because this particular communication degree is very professionally focused. And this degree is one that really ensures that people who are in it are able to advance professionally in the fields where they are working or where they intend to work. This is not really a kind of degree that's a research degree that, you know, people go on to PhDs. But the option is there just in case there is someone who wants to do this. And since I started the program several years ago, I'm only aware of one student who has successfully completed the pre-thesis course and the thesis course and was accepted into a PhD program. She's in that program now. And when I was a full-time professor at Boston University for 10 years, I only had one student in 10 years at BU who did this pre-thesis and thesis course. And she did go into a PhD program, and she's now a professor at the University of Arizona in their School of Communication. So this is a very rare choice for students going through our particular program, but it's there just in case. So is there any question about the thesis as an option? No? Okay, are there any questions over